call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard.
This 35-year-old guy and this 30-year-old woman, he says, I will propose to my girlfriend eventually, but she seems really hurt that it hasn't happened already. Did I mess up here? So here's his message. He says, my girlfriend and I have been together for almost 5 years now. We bought a house together 2 years ago, and we share a dog together. Pause. You should never, ever get into some kind of real estate situation with any woman that you are not married to. I know that might sound old school and old hat, but really, guys, if that doesn't work out, it's going to be heck to pay trying to decide, A, who keeps the place, and then also getting out of the lease and moving things around. And you have a dog together. Hey, people go to court to fight for all kinds of things, but especially pets. So that's one of those things that until you are married to a person, you should not be doing pet share or house share, in my humble opinion. But anyway, he says, our plan is to first get settled into our house before getting engaged. And now that 2 years have passed, she started to express more and more a desire to be engaged and to move on to the next chapter of our lives. Well, yeah, that makes complete sense. You guys are already essentially playing marriage. You got a house together. You've been there for 2 years. You're saying, we need to get settled. And she's like, dude, we're settled. We've been here 2 years and got a dog. What more settling do we have to do? Anyway, he says, I'm confident that she's the person I want to be with for the rest of my life. But I guess I just don't see the big deal in getting engaged or married right away. I also think there is more growing we need to do individually and as a couple before we take that leap. Okay, so here's the thing. Because this gets thrown around a lot, especially from guys. The idea that, well, we need to grow a bit more and this and that. And that's where life tricks your brain. Because the reality is you are going to always be learning, and you're going to always be growing both individually and as a couple, right? Like, I'm 41, he's 35. I can assure you, I was trying to grow and get better about who I was at 21, at 31, and now at 41. And there's always, just as soon as you think you got it figured out, you're like, oh, I want to try something new, and then it starts all over again. So now I get if you're saying, as a couple, we need to figure out some things, whether it's like, I don't know, whatever your issues is, right? But the point is that, but are you actively working on those things? Or are you just haphazardly saying, well, we need to grow some more, and we need to, grow more as a couple? Like, okay, fine. Have you set a date for what that, have you set up what that looks like? And have you set a specific date of when you want to reach that by? Because you as a guy should be a man with a plan. If you're actually thinking about marrying this woman, but you're saying these are hurdles, fine. What are you actively doing to work towards growing individually and growing as a couple to the point where you feel comfortable? Because again, the reality is, it's kind of like when couples say like, oh, we're waiting to have a baby. Most people that have had kids, if you ask them like, how'd you know it was time to have kids? Most of them will respond like, we didn't know. We just figured, crap, we got to have them at some point, and we're still young and fertile. And she's 30. So she's definitely thinking, crap, I'm 30. I got like X amount of eggs left. Stereotypically, like there are women that have babies in their 40s, but stereotypically 30 to 35, you're already in the danger zone. After 35, it's called a geriatric pregnancy. So she's looking at this like, we lived together. We lived together for 2 years. We've been together 5 years. We got a dog. Like, how much more do I need to show this guy before he just marries me? And so it makes complete sense why she'd be saying, hey, I don't want to be pushy, but can we take this leap? Like, I think I've been pretty patient for 5 years, and she has been. So anyway, he says, for context, I've already been married and divorced once before. My parents got divorced when I was younger too. A couple of my friends have also gotten divorced in recent years as well. Okay, so look, if you're a guy that has been divorced and you've been run through the court system and you're like, marriage is just not for me. I want to just be able to live with the person and just agree to things without having to have paper involved or the law involved. Hey, you know what? I don't even fault you. That's in your right. But did you talk Did you talk about the person you're with about that actually being your plan? Because that's when it's unfair. Like, it's not wrong at all if you don't want to get married, but it is wrong if 5 years later you're like, hey, just so you know, I didn't tell you this when we first started dating, but I don't want to get married. Because now she's been waiting this whole time thinking that's going to happen if, in fact, you never had that conversation with her. So at this point, if you know that she wants to be able to be in a marriage before she starts a family and all this other stuff, then it is not fair to her for you to continue to date her, knowing that that's not your agenda. And trust me, even if she says, oh, that's totally fine, her friends are asking her, hey, it's been 5 years, why aren't you married? Her family, it's been 5 years, why aren't you married? Like, her thoughts, we've been together 5 years, why aren't I married? Like, that's not gonna go away just because she agrees to it in the moment. So beware of that and be ready for that. He says, it came up a few weeks ago as we're closing in on the second year in our house, and my girlfriend is upset that we haven't made any progress on the engagement. I feel this is slightly unfair. It's not, as she is now planning on getting me an engagement ring and proposing to me, and we have discussed plans for that. I want to pause right here because I have said on this show that when women like you, well, first of all, I say in the span of dating that once women get a high interest in you, around the 2.5 to 3 month mark, they will come to you and say, so what are we? But I've also said that women are always the ones to propose first. Now, they don't necessarily do it as straightforward as this. Usually they'll say, hey, we've been together for X amount of time. Like, have you thought about like what the next step is? And at that point, that's their hint to you that, oh, you need to start thinking about how to propose to them, right? But they're still the ones to bring it up first. So, and I've heard stories in my personal life of women who actively ask their now husbands to marry them first. So this woman's already saying, look, I don't want to be single, or I don't want to just be in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. I'm getting old. So like, if it means I got to propose to you, that's what I'll do. And that's what she's showing right here, okay? So anyway, he says, she explained that she would no longer bring up an engagement at all, as she believes we'll never progress further in our relationship. We got into an argument where we both said things that we didn't mean, though we later apologized and made up. Okay, so I get tired of guys saying this also. As a guy, you need to learn to be more in control of your emotions. And honestly, we're built for it as guys, right? Women usually have the more emotional roller coaster going on within them. We're supposed to be stoic, we're supposed to be analytical, and we're supposed to be able to really think before we react. So when you're saying something, you're saying, oh, I said things I didn't mean. No, you had time to sit there, you thought about the words before they came out of your mouth, and your brain somehow said, this is a good idea to say, and then you said it. And then only later, after you saw her reaction, did you now have regret. But you need to be doing that kind of filtering before you say the things, because this is not taking responsibility of the fact that you have agency over the words that you speak. And when you're in a loving relationship, you should only be speaking loving things to your significant other. Even if you're mad at them, you should be trying to say things that are going to resolve the situation or have you guys come to an agreement of some kind without having to call nasty names or call her out of her name or say curse words and all this other stuff. You as the guy got to set the example, because here's the thing. Women are going to follow your lead. So let's say she comes to you and she's like, oh my God, you SOB and blah, 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 blah. You, of the two of you, need to be calm and say, look, we can sit down and talk about whatever's bugging you, but we're not going to do that. So if you're going to curse at me and yell at me and interrupt me, we can set aside this conversation for another time. But I'm not going to engage with you this way. Now, are we good? All right. For one, that'll let her realize you actually want to hear her, but also it'll calm her the heck down, because again, she's following your lead. If you're yelling, if she's yelling, you come back, well, yeah, you this and blah, blah. Now you've let her take control of the argument by bringing the energy forth that you don't actually want in the argument. You need to distill that right away, okay? But yeah, this totally makes complete sense. Why you get into an argument about that? Because she's like, dude, what more I gotta do? Now, if somewhere in your subconscious, you're thinking, I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on her, or I don't know if I really feel secure enough in my decision to have her be my life mate, guess what? That's also a fine thing to feel. It's just not fine to continue to be like, but she's the best I got, so I'm gonna hold on to her. Like, you need to let her go. If you don't feel as though she's gonna be the one long-term after 5 years, then it's best for you to let her go so she has time to find somebody else while she can still have kids at the age that she's at. Continuing, he says, ever since, though, she's been really quiet and just not her usual self. She says that nothing is wrong when I ask. We know that's a lie. She's still present with me and keeping up with her work, hobbies, etc., but she's definitely not as proactively affectionate, and hooking up has been pretty much taken off the table. Ooh, once they take the hookup away, that means you're in major trouble. I know that this is related to the fight we had, but we apologized to each other, so I'm not sure what else to do. Well, just because you apologize doesn't mean that the feelings of what you said have gone away. And this is why it's important to monitor the things that you're saying to women, even when you're in a fight with them, because you're thinking, well, I'll just say I'm sorry, and then that word will go away. Dude, preaching to the choir. I have said at times or at times done things or actions to women that I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this thing. It was a oversight on my part to say this thing or to do this thing. Please forgive me. It's my bad. And then they come back, okay, blah, blah, blah. And then fast forward to like the next fight we have or a couple months later. Well, just like when you said this thing to me or when you did this thing and blah, 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 like that doesn't go away. So because women tie all this stuff together, like the emotion she's feeling in your next fight feels the same way that you made her feel in the last fight when you said these horrible things, which goes back to remembering those horrible things you said. So this is why the better you can do at curtailing negative speech and negative actions towards your woman, the better. But anyway, all this to say that ultimately, Guy, she's gonna continue to be upset because she wants to be engaged. She wants to be married. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I see so many videos where guys are like, women today just want to be thoughts and just want to be out there and hook up with everybody else. And they don't want to get married at all. They just want to like do whatever and just hook up with every single chat in town and whatever. And so here you have a woman that's like, no, I've been with this guy since I was 25. I love him. I want to be with him. And you're like, but I'm not sure. And then you're getting mad at her because she's mad at you for not being sure. It doesn't make sense. So again, all this to say, if you don't want to get married, totally fine. Nobody's going to force you at all to have to marry this girl. You could very well be thinking she's not the one, and then you guys break up, you meet somebody else, and you're like, oh, this is definitely her, and you marry her. That's also fine too. But I'm saying for now, it's been 5 years, dude. Crap or get off the pot. If you think that you could see yourself with her long term, it's already been long term. It's been 5 years. At this point, the things holding you back are nerves, anxiety, the unknown, and maybe even some like residual trauma from your past relationship when you were married before. So you need to resolve that and then figure out if that really is for you. If you went through the whole marriage thing one time and said, I don't want to do that or have those feelings again, you're in your right to feel that way, but then it's not fair to hold on to her when she is wanting marriage. So hopefully, Guy, that helps you out. If you have any comments or questions you want to ask me as it pertains to your own situation, you can leave your comments down below. You can also write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. Be sure to like this video, give this channel a subscribe, and also, guys, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com to check out my eBooks, audiobooks, programs, and music albums, all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class